Leg day.
Leg day.
Piece of cake.
Sorry that the camera wasn't on. You're gonna have to do that again.
No. Welcome back to Lucore Automotive Services.
That was a warm up.
I just said all this before, and I'm going to do it again. This is Craig's Lincoln MKVIII Super Coupe. You've seen a long, long time ago. We did a full exhaust system on it. Great little car. Unfortunately, this great little car has some issues. And this episode is going to be very touchy. Quick little backstory. Craig was driving the vehicle. It developed a sound. He thinks it's a timing system looseness, something playing there. It wouldn't make it would make the sound at idle, and it would go away as he got up in the revs. We've been slammed, so we couldn't do it. So he ordered all of his timing set stuff and took it to another shop to get the work done. As you can see, it's not at the other shop. It's now here. So stay tuned. I'll tell you more about it. All right, so obviously it's here. Said shop, which I will name no names at the moment, brought it in and started the teardown procedure to be able to work on the vehicle. As you can see, they have gotten a little bit of teardown done. They got all the accessories off, got the battery out, got the valve covers off, and then they decided to lift it up in the air and drain the oil out of it. At which point in time they called Mr. Customer and said, there's all kinds of material in your oil, motor's huffed, we gotta get you a new motor. And there's
it's
all
only
kinds
like
of things
10 more bolts to have the whole front cover off this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's stuff in the oil pan. So, time out. We ran over there and discovered it sitting as is. This car ran and drove perfectly fine. It drove in there. Is it possible that it has problems? It's possible. But we weren't going to let that just kind of happen without some professional opinion on this. So it is here, and we are going to take it up in the air, and we're going to pull the oil filter off of it, cut the oil filter open, and see what it looks like. Because if there are bad things in the oil pan, there are going to be bad things in the filter element. And then we can probably also pull the oil pan, because in order to pull the oil pan, you got to pull or drop the subframe to be able to do it. Or we're going to just pull the motor out of the car, which is probably what's going to happen. So, for those of you who are interested in seeing a lot more information about the Lincoln MKVIII Super Coupes, you're about to see a lot more information.
And I used to put it back together from a basket case because it came to me disassembled instead of coming to
your
me
favorite
assembled.
way. Putting a puzzle together that you didn't see the picture of.
Nor have I like worked on the front of one of these in ever.
Here we go. Again, 500 wheel horsepower.
It's got oil in it.
Really? One wouldn't think it would have oil in it if it had already had the oil drained. That's awkward.
Not really glittery.
Doesn't look like chunks to me.
Filter off and cut it open.
Also don't looks like
I mean, it didn't have much oil in it, but they probably drained most of it. Got a Motorcraft filter on it.
So you could see the front bolts out of the oil pan?
Well,
They started to remove it?
the front bolts are out because they were getting ready to pull the front cover. They hadn't done any more than that. Yeah. None of the other bolts have been removed.
Right.
Because you can't remove the oil pan without pulling the subframe, and they didn't do that.
Alright.
Anyway, yeah, I'll pull the balancer and pull the front cover off so we can look at it. I figure I'll pull the front cover off because if all I got to do is sling a chain on it, at least it can be running, and then we can decide if we want to go forged internals after that.
Because Craig is losing his damn mind. Yeah, Craig, you're losing your damn mind.
Craig wants more power. More power.
Okay.
There's no oil in the filter. That's awkward.
Supposedly they had the filter off.
So I'm gonna guess they took the filter off that was on the car, which is why it has a Motorcraft filter on it.
Supposedly, what they had said was they took the filter off.
Yeah, that one's never been wet. So they took the filter, which we would have used to diagnose the vehicle with, and probably threw it in the trash. So I went ahead and removed the radiator fan because it's in the way. I don't know why it wouldn't have been removed to do all this work on the front of this car. It's 2 bolts and 1 connector, and it's up and out of your way and gives you all the room you need to work on these things. So maybe the guy working on it just didn't know that. So we pulled the oil out of the engine, or what was left of the oil, and it was black, but it wasn't gross. It didn't appear to have water in it or any metal material in it. That is crooked as heck. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this front cover off, since the last fella almost had it completely off. Might as well take it the rest of the way off. But it wasn't actually removed because none of these bolts have the dirt knocked off of them, so they never pulled the front cover off of the car. Alright, so I stuck with the 2 dowel pins down on the bottom. Pull this front cover off, take a look at what we have. Maybe. Come on that bracket there. Oh. Come on. I don't see any chunks of anything yet. Didn't they say it has chunks in the pan?
That's what we heard.
That's what the rumor was?
That's the rumor.
My seal's hanging. Well, there's no damage there. There's no metal on our magnet.
Looks pretty clean.
There's some dirt in there, probably fell down.
Is there anything in there that would have caused the knocking?
I don't see anything that would cause to rattle. I'm gonna run a scope down in the oil pan to see if I can see anything. That guy's nice and loose.
Made a pretty good clattering sound. Until it got up to about 2,000 RPMs. Then.
Where's probably your clatter is probably that. Question is why? It looks like it's probably stretched.
We put a stethoscope on the front. That was where it sounded like it was coming from.
Well, I would say that's your noise right there from timing chain rattle. Let me run a scope down in the oil pan. We'll look for bits. But I mean, there was a little bit of oil in it when we drained it out, and it
clean.
Well, it didn't look clean. I mean, it was dirty. It was black, but it wasn't glittery. Like when a rod bearing's coming apart, it'll look psychedelic. It'll be like all glittery and whatnot. So, I was gonna drop the subframe down and pull the pan, but let me run a scope down there, because if it's clean in there, I'm just gonna flush it out, put the chains on it, and we'll fire it up. And
sounds like a plan.
I don't see anything that makes me worry.
Interesting.
Other than that, I think this tensioner
Is not
failed.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought it was too. Was one of the tensioners failing?
So, I mean, you've got the timing set. I'm going to sling the whole timing set on it, put it back together, and we'll see what happens. I mean, there's really no reason to not do it since we're in here this far.
Yeah.
I mean, even if we tear it apart again later, we'll just reuse them.
Yep. Sounds like a plan. Got all the parts. Might as well use them all. All right. Well, looks good, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look bad. I mean, like I said, the oil that came out of the pan wasn't, I mean, it was black and gross and needed changed, but it wasn't anything that made me say, oh, there's a rod bearing coming apart.
Yeah.
I'll run the scope up in through the drain plug just for giggles, but I mean, I would think I would see metal shavings in the oil or in the oil pan, and I've not seen anything yet.
I think we'd at least see something glistening in there, and I don't see any shiny parts.
So I'm going to use the old Adjustomatic crankshaft snout wrench. This works nice because you can use the keyway on the crankshaft to rotate the engine over, and you don't mar it up like you do with a pair of pliers. I am 180 out from where I need to be. I actually have a timing mark here, and then your keyway's at a 45 degree, and there's a timing mark on the bottom of the crank pulley. But we want these timing marks to be at the top, and then I'll show you how to look at your chains to install them. These are going to be a little tricky, but I think I can just unbolt them, slide off the pulleys, put them back on. You're supposed to have a holding fixture for these, which I don't have. I wonder if it jumped time. Oh, weird.
What's weird?
Oh. All of it? Oh, this is going to be entertaining. So the tensioner just snapped and took up the slack. But watch the back chain on the crank.
Why is it not going?
It's not turning. The back crank pulley has a keyway that's worn out. Yeah, that's not good.
So let's get that on camera.
All right, go ahead.
Oop, I just stick my hand in your shot. That's no bueno.
That's no bueno. That won't go.
And the plans change again.
Maybe, we'll see. Sound. It's a horrible sound. I wonder if he was rolling the motor over and heard that. It was like, oh, I bet the valves are bent. But again, it was driving, so I still don't believe that the valves are bent. So we'll see. I'm going to sling the new chain on it, and then I'll do a cylinder leak down over here and verify that the valves are sealing. We'll stick it back together, fire it up, and it'll either rattle or it'll quiet down.
It'll either go or it'll blow.
Or come apart on the
It'll
bottom
either
side.
go or it'll blow. Yeah, the inner
see in the
gear
pan,
is what's that?
You can see in the pan.
What's that? Yeah, you can see in the pan. There's no debris in the pan up here, but it looks pretty clean to me. I mean, just saying, it looks pretty clean.
Sure does look awfully clean in there. Definitely not the worst we'd ever seen.
My guess is that they probably just wanted to punt.
Yes, they didn't want to do the complicated timing job.
They didn't want to do the job, so they just priced it to make to.
Well, and the thing is, when you order a motor from somebody else, it shows up with all this already on it.
Maybe.
Had they sent
Not
it up,
necessarily.
it was going to come as an assembled long block. So they would have skipped this phase and just pulled this out, sent it off, gotten it back with all of this already done, and then just...
The timing procedure for this is less complicated than the 3.6 liter I did in that Saturn.
So this has a chain that runs the exhaust.
It's got a primary chain, and then it's got a secondary chain
And it's
that
got
runs.
a gear that runs from this to this.
Yeah, and so we've got all new gears, all new chains, all new guides, all new tensioners. So four tensioners, 4 guides, 4 chains, and 2, 4, 6, 7 sprockets.
I see how this works now.
Which is interesting because this one's one piece. So why is the inside one moving? Did it crack? Or is that an old design that they updated to a single piece?
So this is the new...
This is the new crank gear, yeah. And it's one piece, and I'm guessing, I don't know, we'll get it off there and we'll see.
It's probably in 2 pieces now.
It's definitely in 2 pieces now. Whether or not it started out life that way, I don't know. But that's
I'm sure if it was engineered that way.
that's a pretty cool failure.
Huh.
It is a very interesting failure, I must say.
I feel like that would be a pretty easy way for that driver's side bank to be way out of time.
Oh yeah, you would think. Well, but this car probably isn't advanced enough. I mean, it uses a timing. It has a timing pickup on this gear too, so you'd think there would have been a timing code.
Right.
But again, it was taken apart before it got to me, so I don't know what codes were in it. I mean, the battery's been in the trunk for 2 weeks, so I would have thought there would have been a, timing code, engine light on, saying, "Hey, I'm
Run
out of
like
time."
hell. I'm 15 degrees off.
At least. I mean, the fact that
it rotates from here to there.
The fact that the pulley moves 30 degrees,
you would think that would cause some timing issues.
kind of a bad thing. So,
Huh.
whatever. I'm gonna zip this stuff off real quick and put it back together. We'll see what happens. But yes, this is a 1-piece pulley, and that's a 2-piece pulley. Whether or not it's supposed to be that way, I don't know yet.
It is currently a 2-piece
But it is currently a 2-piece pulley.